Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me right now?
Yes,
All
sure.
right, so sorry
Take a
about
look.
that. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sharp Edge News TV. Do me a favor as you're coming in, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. I'm sorry, I was muted by mistake in the beginning. But we're live. Like I said, hit like, share, subscribe. Let's bring everybody else into the room. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to welcome a man of two powerful roles, publisher of SharpEdgeNews.com and High Chief or Dokwetu of Aide Ondo State. Whether in the newsroom or the kingdom is always ahead, a sharp edge ahead. Give it up for the legend Oladimeji Abitogun. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Ola. Good to join you tonight again. And a big thank you to our audience around the world. Our gratitude that they would allow us into the esteemed hallowed devices, living rooms, TV sets. Think of it. Whatever system you are using to accommodate us tonight, we appreciate you, and we do not take it for granted that you have decided to make us your weekly tonic. That said, Ola, good to be back.
Yay, welcome back, sir. All right, so we have some trendy stories around the world. Of course, today we're going to be talking about the ambassador to be picked. We're going to be talking about the U.S. protests. We're going to be talking about the Abuja protest. Apparently, they were even almost starting a trend in Abuja massacre alert, something crazy like that. But we'll talk all about that. But in the meanwhile, we want to get through some of the SharpEdgeNews.com special report from High Chief Oladimeji himself. You can go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Ola. We start tonight with events with different Nigerian royalties. Number one, you would you must have heard that the Emir of Kano, once deposed, then recalled or reinstated Emir of Kano, former governor of Nigerian Central Bank, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, has been invited by the police to come over to the office of the Inspector General in Abuja. And watchers of a royal event in Nigeria have expressed the opinion that the police may have decided once and for all to be meddlesome and partisan concerning the divisive tendencies of politicians who have been turning around, who have been pushing the different personalities involved in the royal tussle in Kano, that the police is beginning to pick sides and almost like taking sides with the ruling national party, the APC, that is All Progressives Congress in Nigeria, in summoning Emir of Kano, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi. It's not as if anybody is above the law, but concerning the sacred trust that people have given to whoever is seen as the natural ruler as a royal personality, majesties in Nigeria, nobody expects that the police will be trying to drag Emir Sanusi that way. It's felt that whatever investigations the police want to carry out could have been done easily by going down to the palace in Kano. And what what is responsible? What could be responsible for this latest invitation? They said, well, certain events took place during the last Eid al-Fitr celebration. Remember, after Ramadan, there used to be Durban, that is us riding festivities in Kano, in the ancient city of Kano. The emir is supposed to mount his royal horse and then first would go and pay honor to the governor of the state, and from there would ride to wherever there is supposed to be some horse racing. So this time around, because of the volatility of the political situation in Kano, the emir was advised against them. Also, there is a bifurcation of that throne. There is an emir Bayero and there is emir Sanusi. Two of them are cousins, but in the hands of politicians, they have been played against each other. So everybody feels the police should have come down to Kano so that nothing is done to escalate the tension that is already in town, that is already enveloping the emirate. We moved from there to the installation and presentation of staff of office and instrument of appointment to the new Alaafin of Oyo. Oyo holds a sacred place among the almost 60 million strong Yoruba people occupying southwestern part of Nigeria, all the way to neighboring countries of West Africa like Republic of Benin, Togo, and in some places also in modern day Ghana, all the way to the northern tip of the river Niger, and then stretching into areas in Kogi State and Kwara State. And so it was all greeted with festivities this last Saturday. The downside of it is the appearance of Sultan of Sokoto there. That is Emir Sahad. Sultan Sahad. It's been observed by royal watchers all over Nigeria that deliberate attempts are being made to make it look like royal fathers in southwest Nigeria are subservient to the Sultan of Sokoto, particularly when this current governor of Oyo State, Governor Shehu Makinde, when he presented staff of office and instrument of appointment to the Olubadan of Ibadan at a past event, he nearly stretched out his hand for an handshake with Ooni of Ife, who is seen as the spiritual king priest of the Yorubas, the successors to the progenitors of Yoruba race, Oduduwa. But when it came to the time he would greet the Sultan of Sokoto, he went down to pay homage completely. So the optics there was not too good. And then at this Saturday event, Sultan of Sokoto was made to sit close to the new Alaafin of Oyo, whereas your fellow Obas in Yoruba land, or Obas in Yoruba land that are supposed to be some lower stool to that of Alaafin, were really kept at some remarkable distance. So, some things to note there is that we should not be communicating wrong signals. After all, we say, oh, some people who are in some way beholden to the Sultan of Sokoto are taking over forests all over Nigeria. Although, let us caution here that Sultan may not be responsible for their actions, may not approve of their brazen challenge to Nigeria status quo, trying to foist Fulani hegemonic agenda on everyone in Nigeria other than the Fulanis themselves. And let me point out that whether in their homeland, in Futajalon, present day country of the Gambia, Fula people, they are called Fula in their homeland. They are mainly peaceful and personable people who traditionally have really steamed themselves in the heart of governance and leadership. But what they are doing cause for concern everywhere, whether in today's plateau or all over Nigeria. In different communities, they disturb the activities of peaceful farmers. And then so when the Sultan comes anywhere this way, and he is seen as being given influence that is not deserving of his office concerning the activities of his people, that raises some questions in everyone's mind. And we are just giving them to the concerns of our people here. Let us be cautious how we try to project the importance of one stool, royal stool, over the other. We move there to the very prominent Ibadan-based Christian leader who practices uncommon charity, show of love, raising funds for people to do well and making sure that the people are lifted up from their sufferings in life. That is the man known as Agbala Gabriel in Ibadan. Lately, an old man, octogenarian, 81-year-old so-called professor, because going by the antecedents of this man, known as Mr. Awodia, he calls himself Professor Awodia. Nobody can ascertain if he actually is a professor of anything. He talks of being the only African professor of heuristics, that is a kind of science education or a kind of a field of knowledge education in which some short routes are used to determine accurate perception and what have you. Big English concerning that word, but I'm sure when the man showed up at Agbala Gabriel, the man there, Pastor Gabriel himself, did not even understand much of what this man was saying. But at 81, this man claimed to have worked for CIA, that at some point he said he was living in the United States of America and working for the CIA. At some other point he said, at another time he said he was working for CIA, living in Canada, and that he came to Nigeria recently, deposited his passport with the Nigerian Central Bank. I do not know if wherever, and the meaning he gave to CIA is different from what we all know. It's different from the CIA that we all know. CIA means Central Intelligence Agency, and that is an organization that is responsible for the international intelligence gathering for the United States of America. Very important agency to the security of the United States and the stability of the entire world. And then when he was asked what CIA meant, he said, Covert Intelligence Agency. Some things do not agree with the claims of this man. Some people try to explain it away that, oh, he probably worked for CIA. I do not believe he has ever worked for CIA. His own son showed up that this man, who claimed to have worked for the CIA for 49 years, at some point he claimed to have been a special advisor, special assistant to the former Chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters, the late Brigadier General Tunde Ediagbon. He put the date at 1995. Tunde Ediagbon was in that office from December 31st, 1983 to 27th August 1985, when he was seated alongside his boss, then Major General Muhammadu Buhari, by the Babangida-led coup and Sani Abacha. And so he put his own date at 1995. Here, we do not know if he is suffering from a senility like his son would say. But his son said this man has always been an habitual absentee father who was never there for his family. The man claimed to have married, and that the wife died during childbirth. But later on, from discoveries that have been made and confessions obtained from him, now it is obvious that this man has several wives, several liaisons, and so many children all over the place, whom he never tended to, whom he never showed any fatherly affection. And going forward, he has been exposed as somebody who has made millions of naira duping people committing fraud. And the issue for us, why we are bringing Agbala Gabriel out here, is that he cannot exercise any magisterial finality concerning this man. We are calling on the government of the United States of America to ascertain the identity of this man, if he actually has worked as an asset for the Central Intelligence Agency in the United States. Again, for the Nigerian government to tell us what they know about this man, because people have come out in faraway places like Nasarawa State, Ibadan, Akure, all over Nigeria, that this man serially had defrauded so many people. The question for us, why we are bringing this out, at 81, if a man is never changing in his ways, and the fundamentals that this shows about the character of Nigerians and Nigeria as a country. So when an 88 man takes to the life of conning people and defrauding them of hard-earned money, and then making spurious claims as to whether he's been dispossessed of millions of naira by some people on the street, namely for a book. When Agbala Gabriel read portions of this book, the manuscript, this man said he's been looking for somebody to publish for him. Honestly, I do not find any intellectual depth in the work. But you know, the church crowd and somebody crying, oh, may God deliver us from things like this. People are appealing to raw emotions right there about what they know nothing about. If this man is not reined in by the government, then it is almost like we are saying that fraud is a way of life for us Nigerians, whether at home or abroad. Two, it is to say that, okay, this is something that people know about us. I mean, if children are behaving without wisdom, how do you describe that of an old man? So, Agbala Gabriel is waving some pardon wand for the man. Not so fast. Government must look into this. When an 81-year-old man behaves like a fool, like a fraudster that he is, like a con man, the law must take its course. Those, after all, he has said he's been a pastor, he's been principal of Methodist school, grammar school in Ibadan and all that. Bold dash. The people who gave us Paternoster, the Lord's Prayer, even when they say, forgive us as we forgive those who sinned against us. In their system, it is the rule of law. They don't just forgive people like that. So to think that you would just approach Agbala Gabriel, make some guru confession, and then your sins are forgiven at 81. It doesn't work like that. You send young people to prison for little or no crimes at all. I do not know why this man, in a country that should be governed by the rule of law, should be pardoned. He's been making all those dobale, begging for forgiveness. Not so fast. And then today, on the streets in Rivers and Lagos and Abuja, protests for good governance and reform of the police. Thank God, they have not fired a single shot at any of the protesters, at least from what we know now. Not yet. But in a place like Rivers State, an interesting twist to this mass protest, the police and the military trying to have a confrontation with the Nigerian masses. The rights of every Nigerian is guaranteed by the Constitution to peaceful protest. And look at the twist that is added. The man who said he is the immediate past head of service in Rivers State made certain claims that he was there, witnessed the handing over of money that is almost like that of Judas to some elements to go and bomb the House of Assembly complex by now suspended Governor Fubara, something we believe is an illegitimate action on the part of unlawful action on the part of President Bola Tinubu. The same man was being given a script to read. Now, the people who were originally arrested concerning that shenanigan, that gross bombing and burning of the House of Assembly, people who made confessional statements to the police, they have cried out that they have been pressured to change their narratives to be in agreement with the claims of this disgraced head of service, former head of service to Rivers State, to change their story to be in alignment. And they have identified certain people behind this. And these people are believed to be acting at the behest of the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Yesin Wike. Nigeria should rise above this kind of primordial situations. If we must continue to project that we are the best black nation to have ever been, I do not know why we should travel this route. Just want to cook up allegations and make ourselves the laughingstock of the civilized world. And I rest my case to the extent that people should borrow a lesson from what transpired in America on Saturday. The hands-off protests, millions across more than 1,000 cities in London, everywhere.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about all of that with 5 minutes over the special time.
All right. What the lesson to be learned is that we should do things according to what is proper. We cannot just be an exception. Allow Nigerians to be free and express themselves. Thank you. Our report for this week.
Thank you. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live, when we drop videos. We do have some more trendy stories around the world, including the protests both here in the United States and Nigeria. So get ready. Again, ping everybody else into the room. We're about to talk about that right now. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Federal government shocking ambassador picks Fani-Kayode, Fani-Kayode, Shehu, Sani, Reno, Omokri. I'm looking at a post here. I just maybe we can touch on this briefly. A post here on an article on Daily Post says former federal lawmaker Senator Shehu Sani, ex-presidential aide Reno Omokri, former governors Abia and Enugu State Okozie Ikpeazu, Ifeanyi Ugwanyi are reportedly among those nominated for ambassadorial appointments by the Nigerian government. Oladimeji, founder of a Guarantee Trust Bank PLC, Femi Pedro. I know that name. I think that might be somebody I know actually.
Former deputy governor of Lagos State.
Oh, okay, that's Femi Pedro, right?
I think so.
Okay, so it's not what I think. Fani-Kayode, of course, are also reportedly on the list. It was learned that the nominees are currently being screened by the Department of State Services (DSS), and the final list will be made public soon. According to Vanguard, one of the appointees confirmed his nomination on the condition of anonymity on Sunday. On why the names of the appointees had not been released, an official from
appointees or nominees. Some grammatical flaw there on concerning that report.
Right.
They are nominees. Right. They are not yet appointees.
Right. They're prospective appointees, I guess. I don't even think they've confirmed the names yet. But anyway, I wanted to know what you think about this. It's quite interesting to see Reno Omokri's name on that list. But I know he's been parading the state house, or what you call the presidential villa, quite a bit. He used to be in the PDP camp. During this last election, it was all over the place. At first, he was investigating Tinubu, going to Illinois to go check his records, and then he came back with after all his investigation and everything. He came back and said, "Wow, the guy is clean. Everything has been perfect." He's been saying something to that effect. So now his name is on prospective nominees that's not been confirmed, and prospective appointees. What do you take of this, sir? Before we move on to the other stories.
Thank you, Ola. Any of the Nigerians that you have mentioned here is eminently qualified to act on behalf of the president as an envoy, as an international envoy to any country the administration or the person of the president so desires. The only thing is the concern that you have mentioned, the amount of delicate rope dance that is often witnessed, the amount of, the extent to which people can go in terms of becoming ideological turncoats can be worrisome, and the obvious lack of principle and abiding philosophy concerning many of our Nigerian compatriots, yes, should be a matter of concern. But that said, the job of an ambassador really is not, doesn't really show that somebody has to be, somebody has to demonstrate courage of convictions on core issues or what would obviously be seen as the national goals and objectives of any government at any time. Do we really know some of these people at close quarters? Certainly not. But by reputation, yes, we know some of them. For example, Mr. Fani-Kayode also used to be in PDP, and you remember that he was one of those people that first started spitting fire concerning the Muslim ticket of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shetima contraption. So at some point, I mean, some of us were even concerned at that time that, is brother Fani-Kayode. I'm using that term brother because of also belonging in the Christian family. So, you know, brother. The way brother and sister thing.
He's been kneeling down in front of certain pastors for prayers too, so we know.
Yeah, but I don't have that far, but the little I know about him, he's former special assistant, Bayo Oladimeji, happens to be a very good colleague of mine. He used to work with the Nigeria Tribune, and we were a bit close. And then when we started the Sharp Edge News initiative platform, Fani-Kayode used to be a regular contributor to our platform. I mean,
oh wow!
He encouraged us in those years, and there have been other situations. You know, I give it to him. He was one of those persons who used to write very courageous pieces. When the June 12, 1993 debacle political umpires, when it first charged on us in Nigeria, he was there, and I read him regularly through his contributions in the news magazine and on other outlets. Very brilliant, but he's had his own struggles. For example, when he had that shouting match with a journalist where he was displaying the Nigerian syndrome of "Do you know who I am?"
Show my age,
and no, that one should be the one replying to him that, "Do you know my age?" But that journalist did not really show that kind of. I think I commend that journalist for demonstrating
restraint,
uncommon candor and calm and restraint while under that kind of umbrage and needless verbal assault from Mr. Fani-Kayode. That said, Fani-Kayode served as a spokesperson for former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and he also served as an aviation minister. The downside of his leadership of the aviation ministry was that there were too many plane crashes when he was there. But he has since come out to say that he made efforts to stem such tragedies while he was there. Now, to Mr. Shehu Sani, senator, distinguished senator, who had his principal disagreement with an irredentist and fundamentalist like Erupt, who then was the governor of Kaduna State. You will give it to Shehu Sani. Shehu Sani, too, more than anybody would want to admit, has been a huge beacon of hope and activism, social activism, political reforms up north. You know, he is in a class, that you would want to give a special honor and respect. Everybody knows him. That's why I said we may not know them all at close quarters like that, but by reputation, They are all known to us. We are all Nigerians. We know it, and we know its antecedents. How it came out to raise certain whistle. I mean, to blow certain whistle on the excesses of the Nigerian Senate, the National Assembly. As a result of that, he was going to even be suspended.
He almost got suspended. Saraki.
and all that, and how in spite of the kind of camaraderie that once existed between him and Erufai, former Governor Erufai, how they had their irreconcilable political differences. And recently you heard him when he said that that it was good riddance to bad rubbish. The fact that Nasir El-Rufai exited the ruling APC, now saying he has joined SDP. And Shehu Sani is back in APC, which he once, left. I wouldn't use the word which he abandoned. On principle, he decided not to have anything to do with Nasir El-Rufai, and he swore during his most recent interview that if El-Rufai comes back to APC, he would want to leave the party for him. That he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to fellowship, so to say, politically with Nasir El-Rufai. Now, about our friend Reno Omokri. We know him as a major operative for the Goodluck Jonathan presidency. And like you have pointed out, at some point, he was so active in investigating the Bola Tinubu certificate scandal from the Chicago State University. And thereafter, he took his flip, and when Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan started having this recent face-off with the Nigerian Senate, unsolicited, Omokri jumped into the fray and supplied us with salacious claims of how he was blackmailed and how he got some undisclosed amount in settlement because allegedly Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan had been blackmailing him, making certain claims about some amoral advances while he was not even in Nigeria at the time. Yes.
Sorry, Chief. It's called toasting. They said he toasted a woman. That's all.
Yeah, the orientation we are given in the orientation we get in corporate America about sexual harassment is this. Whether the woman is married or not, if the first time you make an advance that would be, in Nigerian parlance, toasting. My former university professor of diplomatic history, the late Nigerian High Commissioner to Australia, Papua New Guinea, and Germany, Ogu Agbi, of blessed memory, will say that, I don't know of any toasting like that. I only know of toasted bread and all that. Anyway,
well, if you say somebody made an advance, isn't that just toasting?
You approach a lady or you woo a lady. The first time you do it, if the woman says yes, Otijelo. But if the woman says no, please don't go back to her the second time. That will be seen by American standard as putting her through excruciating, what do you call it now? The word Natasha used. Harassment, sexual harassment.
Yes.
That becomes sexual harassment. The first time, if she says yes or no, you have not committed a crime. But
we know that's not realistic. It's more to it than that. It's not realistic that every time they say no, you just say no and just keep it moving. The point it depends on other things. I'm listening to you, sir.
Cultural difference right there.
Which one?
The cultural difference is this. In America, you come back repeatedly to a woman, it's sexual harassment. Or whether it's a man or a woman. That would be sexual. But in our culture, it is often said by Yoruba proverb kò jẹ́ ìsinmi lobìnrin máa ń gbà fún.
No, we will do another segment on it, but it's not that you're oversimplifying it. It's not that simple.
No, we are on the same page. I'm not simplifying anything. All I'm saying is that may be a baggage for somebody like Reno Omokri, because feminist movements all over the world now will be spotlighting him wherever he shows up as Nigerian ambassador. For him not to have been restrained in the way he jumped into that controversy, almost wanted to give easy pass to Senate President Akpabio. It's not going to be looked at positively wherever he goes all over the world. So let us just wait. You yourself, you have said, and that report is unconfirmed yet. But
the reason why I see the point you made, sir.
I see a generational shift. I see some value shift in the class. If it is true that these people have been primed to become Nigeria's ambassador in a long time.
Sorry, sir. Let me make this point about. Sorry to interject you, because I'm going back to Reno Omokri with regards to this ambassadorship thing, right?
Yeah.
The point I'm making there is that I agree with you that it might be. I doubt it, particularly because of the way you just framed what you just said. I doubt that it to be any type of hiccups in his path to becoming an ambassador, because Nigerians are still, to a large extent, delusional that there is a cultural difference in the definitions of these things. It's not different. Our women have been complaining since the beginning of mankind about certain types of behavior, particularly when specifically when power dynamics are involved in the places of work. That's what makes the difference. If you said, yes, there was some place of work involvement in what Natasha probably accused him of, but all they accused him of is making advances. That's not a crime. That has never been a crime anywhere. He plugged himself on unnecessarily in a case that didn't involve him.
That's exactly the same point you and I are making here.
We made that same point. However, that there is a cultural differences in nuances it's not that much. We need to break that down when we get a chance.
We also have an agreement concerning that.
All right, good.
Yes.
Continue. We're running our time way too much, but continue.
Yeah, but finally on that subject, like I said, what I see here is the fact that in a long time we are not seeing many of the faces we used to see, the regulars. If Nigerians have been clamoring for a change in the recycling of individuals and what have you, the fact that somebody like Shehu Sani is on this, is making this list. If indeed this is true, and we have no cause to doubt Vanguard News Report, because they have a track record. They have a record in reporting objectively. If this is true, and if this, whether it's a leak or
if this is true,
something or a result of factual reportorial effort on the part of our hardworking journalists, honestly, I would say that maybe we are getting there concerning citizens diplomacy. That the focus, somebody like Shehu Sani, I'm sure we want to stake everything.
See, on that one, sir.
Are protected. You say?
Before we move on from this story, so sorry to interject. Yes. On this particular Shehu Sani, Natu made some comments in the chat session here. Natu said, "Hi Chief is correct on Shehu Sani. He was the one that blocked El-Rufai from getting some loans from China, and El-Rufai blocked him from coming back. He became the poster boy." Now, I want to say something to this, right? He might have been good. I'm not sure if I got the full context of what you and Natu are saying, that he's a good candidate. Maybe that's what I'm picking up from there, right?
That is my submission, that he is coming from the same political what's it called, school of thought, like the late Gani Fawemi. He is a social activist. He's a political activist, and he signals one thing about this, that we may finally have come to that point in realizing what the late Nigerian internationalist and foreign affairs minister Ojo Madueke will call citizen diplomacy. That wouldn't he, as Nigerians in the diaspora and Nigeria as a nation will now be protected by these people because they know the kind of, that point at which, where the shoe pinches.
Let me say this and let you make a point on it, and then we'll move on to the next story. I don't know that I agree. And here's why. Like you said, I'm not questioning the morals of this guy. As a matter of fact, Reno Omokri is a pastor, is an ordained pastor of some sort. So I'm not questioning their morals at all.
Right. Ola, please, don't go there because you also find you also find a dog tying a collar around the neck. So the fact that somebody I don't know. I do not want to go into that one because there are some pastors in Nigeria that have brought the name of Jesus Christ to.
No, I don't want to question that at all. I'm actually trying to stay away from that. My point,
I hope it's not that kind of pastor anyway.
Yeah, my point is that he's a Bible scholar. Shehu Sani is a good candidacy for diplomacy. He's after the people's interest. He's demonstrated that. As a matter of fact, he blocked an El-Rufai. I get all of that, but isn't it? Here's my question here, sir. Isn't it still recycling the same of their same kind? These people successfully run their politics, and they were in those same camp, and they are also defectors of all different types in that same system. Isn't it now when you plug Fani-Kayode into that and the Femi Pedro, all these people are all the same people? I hope we are aware of this.
Yes, but some people still make very strong difference. When you send Shehu Sani out as an envoy, it's almost like you are sending Mr. Femi Falana, who anyway is his associate. Yeah, it's like what do you think Femi Falana would do? For example,
I don't trust SA and Falana too much too, but go ahead.
But you will also give him some measure of trust. You may not trust him completely because it's a human being. You know that you can't give any complete trust in that. But contextually,
it depends on what we're saying.
What I know is that it will stand for certain core principles that are the irreducibles. That that okay, this person is on the side of Nigeria as a country and is on the side of Nigerian subaltern people. This is the point I'm making. Shehu Sani is one such person. As to Femi Fani-Kayode, at some point it's positive, at some point.
Because you spoke very well of him too. You spoke very well of him too for his encouragement.
I struck a balance. You think I would be happy with him the way he treated a fellow Nigerian journalist with condescension, or the way he was going to use his past relationship with Biaka Ono Ojukwu to want to intimidate her at some point too? No. Nobody is absolutely evil, as there is no absolute angel anywhere.
I think that's my point, actually. I think that's my major point. I think our expectations of these people needs to be regulated and managed. I don't think we have a chance of bringing a holy person in the midst of any of this anyway. There's no chance.
In this case, Nigeria will use what we have. These are the people they have nominated. Let us see them at work, and then we will know if they are really worth being entrusted with such an important assignment.
All right, no problem. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, join the conversation in the comment section. In the chat session. We'll be right back. Welcome back everybody. So there's been some can you hear me, sir? Let's just make sure.
Yeah, all right. I'm listening.
All right, good. So there's been protests all around the world, but let's start with the U.S. protests.
Sorry, a correction.
Yeah.
The late Professor Oluagbi was never at any time Nigeria's ambassador to Germany. rather, he was Nigeria's ambassador to Greece after he served as High Commissioner to Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem, sir. All right, good. So, over the past, I don't know. I know you were asking me a few days ago that there's some kind of protest going on, but I think this is more so about protests against Elon Musk than it is against Trump. It's called the hands off. The hands off. I'm looking at the report here on BBC. It's an antitrust protest held in cities across the U.S. since the last 2 days. And they're saying crowds of protesters gathered in cities across the U.S. on Saturday to denounce President Trump in the largest nationwide show of opposition since the president took office in January. The hands-off protest planners aimed to hold rallies in 1,200 locations, including in all 50 states, U.S. states. Hundreds of thousands of people turned out in Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, and Washington, D.C., among other cities. The protesters cited grievances with protesters' agenda ranging from social to economy issues coming days after Trump's announcement that the U.S. would impose import tariffs on most countries around the world. Gatherings were also held outside the U.S., including in London, Paris, Berlin. I'm not sure if gatherings were held in Nigeria, because I think there's a tariff against Nigeria that's been estimated to be worth $6 billion in exports. I see here some of the placards says stop the real steal. We stand up to bullies. Empathy is the path. And things, etc., etc., etc. Hands off. What do you say about this? Let me get your take on this, sir.
It's a movement, it's an action whose time has come. In fact, I would say, in the words of a well-known American lawmaker who is now deceased, John Louis, or whatever his name is, I'm sorry, but I think, yeah.
The black guy?
Yeah, African American.
African American, okay.
Yeah, this is a good time to get into good trouble. He was famous for challenging us about getting into good trouble. And this is one good trouble to get into. To push back, organize from community to community, everywhere. Number one, not just about a billionaire takeover, an oligarchy marauding to be democracy. And one major thing these marchers are saying is that what America is witnessing, what Americans now have, is not a democracy, that this is an oligarchy, and that there must be an immediate halt, immediate end to it. Then, concerning whether it is targeted at this man who has been most un-American and most uncharitable in the way he's been advising President Donald Trump, that is Elon Musk, you would notice that in over 100 years, it's not been this bad. Deliberately going for self-destruction. It's not happened in more than 100 years. Remember, we were talking of the event that led to the depression of the 1930s. Remember, we touched on that in our past in our past production. This is almost like it. It's needless. Even then, the tariff introduction then that totaled the American economy was just like maybe 20-something%. How do you justify the the haphazard and impulsive slamming of different rates on different people? For example, you mentioned Nigeria. Nigeria is supposed to be having a hit of between 14% to 15%. South Africa, for doing nothing, just because of the influence of Elon Musk, the lies he has told about the relationship of that government with the white minorities in the country. I think theirs is put at about 36% for just being an African country. And there are some innocuous, some insignificant places where nobody that has no life. Some places where plastic stuff just the ocean tide sweeps what do you call it? Plastic waste to those islands. No human habitation. Donald Trump, in a very comical way, slammed tariff on that island. So is it those waste, those plastic waste, are they the ones that will now be paying this tariff to Donald Trump? There are other places there. And what the hands-up thing is also saying is that this obsession, this naked greed to want to grab another person's and resources, say in places like Greenland and now the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. In such places, Americans are saying that Donald Trump and Elon Musk should contain their greed. Hello?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, after all, this is a country that has such a high consciousness about evangelical Christianity. Haven't they read in the 10 Commandments, the Decalogue, where it is said that thou shalt not covet things belonging to your neighbor? So what is this madness about? Oh, there must be takeover of resources in Africa, and contrary to what people are expecting.
Good question, sir.
Good question, please, let me land this thought. Let me land this thought, please.
No problem.
Contrary to what people were thinking that, it's going to bring more money to the United States. Since this craze about Liberation Day, which has turned to almost like Depression Day, is America making that money? America has lost over $2 trillion. Americans have lost over $2 trillion. Globally, more than $6 trillion is unprecedented. And yet, Americans are saying, this is not supposed to be the focus. This is not what you promised us. This is not what we were promised. So the expected reduction in household commodity prices, groceries and what have you, is it happening now? On the contrary, it is expected that these things would attract some spike. So your question.
So when you say, I think you brought in Christianity or evangelicals or something there, right?
Yes. The greed to go after what belongs to one's neighbor, like the resources under the earth in Ukraine, in Greenland, in Democratic Republic of Congo. What is that for?
Well, would you say what would you say to people that say, isn't that a emotional blackmail when we're talking about sovereignties? We're talking about may the best player win. We're talking about, yes, it's me against you. I'm taking care of my own people. Do what you have to do to take care of your own people. What would you say to those people?
How does that amount to emotional blackmail when this is what an agenda that is being pursued by the Donald Trump administration? It is not emotional blackmail. It's just pointing out the facts of what he is after. For example...
Yeah, but he can argue for the nation, right? Not for himself personally.
Which nation? America is not even known to be obsessed with imperialism. Every nation was keeping territories and the colonies. The American approach to it was quite different. That is not, America never wanted to be king or overlord over anybody. Yes, he now is the one that has come out blatantly to want to push everybody towards thinking that, America is not even different from the other Western colonizers. It's never been that blatant with America. So it's on them. If anybody wants to trade emotional blackmail, let it be on them. It's not coming from people like us. We are talking from the fact of what we know. It's part of that Agenda 2025.
Would you agree that
2025?
Would you agree that America is in a decline in terms of being a global player over the last 10 to 20 years? Okay, so if you would agree with that.
Not even in the last 10, 15 years. Okay, if you say 10 to 15 years, maybe you are talking of the first coming of Donald Trump, and now
No. I don't mean that. I mean, even before there was an announcement by Donald Trump to run for presidency, would you agree that America was in a decline?
Well, during the Obama years, America enjoyed, it got its place back. Remember, after the weapon of mass destruction fiasco during the what's it called, the situation that led second President Bush to take military action against Saddam Hussein and everybody that was suspected of having a hand in the 9/11 attack on the United States. Yes, it almost got to that point.
But so you're agreeing that there's been a decline before Obama, before Trump?
Under Republican Party to some extent, yes. When Obama came, that changed again. And then Donald Trump got there. He took America to the cleaners. And now everybody is comparing between where we are during the COVID pandemic, when it was feeling like Emperor Nero, while Rome was on fire. Exactly same thing now, you find that he has done. After, it's almost like there is this situation about America. Republicans create a mess, Republicans clean up, and then Republicans come again. You know, even in biblical terms, I made a first allusion to the issue of not being covetous, not demonstrating naked greed factor against things belonging to your neighbor. Let me make another allusion. It's almost like people of God being in slavery, they are liberated no sooner that they are out of that bondage and the line of, because I don't want to give specifics, I do not want to play into anybody's stereotype here. But no sooner have they been delivered, they long for their years of mystery. They forget, and they always want to think that, those years of suffering could be considered as being better, and then they put themselves into that bondage again. This is what it has been. So the decline, visibly, the decline has been more pronounced under Donald Trump than at any other time.
So your answer, your subjective answer will be a yes. There's been a decline.
Well, I do not know why you're just as being subjective. The objective analysis is that more so. It's more so under him, under Donald Trump.
Okay, let's call it objective.
His look, his conduct is so depressing.
So let's call it objective, but with the caveat that is because of the Republicans, correct?
Not just Republican. I said Donald Trump as a, the Republican Party used to be a party that would, sneeze. The whole world would catch cold that, no relationship between them and communists and all that. But look at this Republicans giving him a free pass on anything. You can't even say if there is a Congress anymore that could ensure the principle of checks and balances. It's not anymore.
So I do think I'm going to say that and let you have the last word, and we'll round up this segment, right? We're way over time, but it's okay. Here's the thing. He would argue, him and his MAGA people might argue that America has been in decline, which we've agreed is a subjective, it's probably more of a subjective thing coming from any political sides.
Although if you look at the decline of America as this subject, is like we are playing to the script of the man.
I will explain what I mean. Let me explain what I mean to you.
All right, go ahead.
So when we can't really give a yes or no to that, as we know, because there's global influence, there's economy, there is society and politics, there's military power, there's all of those things and probably more. So it's very hard for me to ask any one human being and expect them to be purely objective. It's just unrealistic. Right? So that's why I'm using that word. Maybe there will be a better word than subjective, but I'm just saying we cannot declare it in this moment, yes or no. That's all I'm saying, right?
No, we can declare it, because if we say, it's subjective, it's like we are borrowing from their script, which is alternate reality.
Maybe
There's
that's
no
speaking.
alternate reality here.
Maybe that's
Reality-
speaking to the point I'm making. Let me make the point. Maybe that's speaking to the point I'm making. He would say, he and the MAGA people would say it's been in a decline and we're trying to save it. Right?
Of course, that's not true compared with the economy that was handed over to him, whether by Barack Obama or by Joe Biden.
No, I don't. I don't know which one is true or not. I'm making a point here, then I'll let you speak to it, right? So now, if that's true or not, that will be up to you after you listen to my question, right? So now he will make an argument that okay, this thing that we call that you've been boosting the economy, including Barack Obama, they were the worst president. That's the points they will make. Okay, so we're going to save our nation from the massive decline. Some of the things that they give is education. They will say our education standard across the world has been terrible as compared to China and some other places, right? That we're actually nosediving, right? So they're saying we're trying to save. So back to my question, right? If you now say, where is the greed coming from? Where is all this? Isn't it their job to do, based on their belief system, isn't it their job to do everything in their power to, yes, of course, suppress everybody else, but the America? Because again, back to that question I gave earlier, when you said greed, they're supposed to, why are we doing this against our neighbors? That's the point you were making. And I'm saying when it comes to, being the president of a nation, trying to make America prosperous again, MAPA, MAPA, right? Wouldn't that be what they're supposed to do? Now you can go, sir.
Now, my point of departure is that this is the argument, the bankrupt argument they have always pushed, that, there is alternate reality. Truth is truth, and if you try to suppress it and make it subjective, it will pop up, and you will always know that this is what truth constitutes. All these things they have always fantasized about, their fantasy that they have not lived out. This what has always given them their secret orgasm, which is now being paraded as their shame. Don't you think that everybody who felt, what you think is your alternate reality is what would lead to the decline of this nation right before our very eyes? We have seen the unraveling of everything. So there is no argument as to who has the superior and better viewpoint here. Whose viewpoint serves the people better. So it's the jury is no longer out there. We have seen it in just 3 months. When it started churning out its deluge of executive orders, that is why we are where we are. We cannot. Latch onto his narrative, his warped and twisted logic, and run to town with that. Let us wait. Things will stabilize. Just watch. I wish the very best for the United States of America, because this is the best promise, the best hope for all of us as members of the human family. And I hope this guy will not shipwreck all of us. That is all I can say at this point.
Okay. We have one more story we're going to talk about, which is the protest that was going on in Nigeria today. But I want to read this to you, and I want to give you a challenge, Chief. I'm going to give you a challenge. Give me one response in one sentence, but I'm going to read a whole lot to you, okay? But it's a challenge. So let's see. It's not truth or dare, no worry, but it's a challenge. All right, so here is it, right?
Don't give me that kind of legacy, please.
All right. Based on his public statements, this is Donald Trump's main argument. Based on his public statements, campaign rhetoric, and policy actions, Donald Trump's main argument is generally that, number one, America was in decline, a core premise of his political platform, encapsulated by the slogan, Make America Great Again, MAGA, is that the United States had been weakened and was losing its standing in the world prior to its influence. Number two, causes of decline. According to Trump, he typically attributes his perceived decline to bad trade deals, agreements like NAFTA before negotiation, the TPP, which he withdrew from, and trade relationships, particularly with China, which he argues led to job losses, especially in manufacturing and unfair competition. Immigration policies that he views as allowing uncontrolled immigration, which he links to security concerns, wage depression, and strain on social services. Globalism versus America first, an emphasis by previous leaders on international agreement, foreign aid, and global cooperation that he believes came at the expense of American workers and national interest. Weak leadership, actions by previous political leaders, both Democrats and Republicans, whom he portrays as ineffective negotiators who allowed other countries to take advantage of the U.S. military. Sometimes includes a perception that the U.S. military had become depleted and wasn't prioritized sufficiently before its efforts to increase defense spending. Number 3, his solution Trump presents is America First agenda, including negotiating trade deals, imposing tariffs, restricting immigration, prioritizing domestic industry, questioning international alliances, agreements, and increasing military spending as the necessary remedy to reverse this decline and restore American economy and global strength. In essence, his argument is that America's greatness was eroded by poor leadership and policies favoring global interest over national ones. And his approach is designed to put America first to halt and reverse that decline. Chief, one sentence. That's your challenge.
He is wrong on his postulations, and now that it's been put to test, you see how he is getting that backlash. That is my response. Simple sentence.
All right, everybody else, join the conversation in the chat. Do me a favor, hit like button, share, subscribe while you're at it. We have one more trendy story around the world, and we will be right back. All right. Welcome back. Abuja in turmoil. Protests ignite over Cybercrime Act and Hardship. All right, let's talk about this thing here. And what I heard earlier on is that there's tear gas and all kind of craziness going on in Abuja today. But I think you also mentioned earlier that there wasn't any type of casualty or anything too bad. But I'm reading a little bit from Punch Nigeria here. It says a nationwide protest led by the Take It Back movement and other civil society organization has commenced in Abuja. The demonstration, which kicked off on Monday, April 7th, is aimed at drawing attention to the alleged misuse of Cybercrime Act, the worsening economic hardship in the country, and what organizers have described as a state of emergency in Rivers. So you were speaking to Rivers earlier, so you this is go ahead and speak a little bit more to it. What's going on in Rivers? Apparently, are they backing? Are they pushing back? Are they standing up to bullies? What's going on exactly, sir?
Yes, indeed. The people of Rivers State have been able to stand up to bullies. Although later in the day, there were attacks from the police. I mean, in an action that has been adjudged to be unconstitutional, because every citizen has the right to peaceful and lawful protest. And they don't even need police permit. Once they are informed that Nigerian citizens want to have a protest march, what the police ought to do is to provide protection. That is the position of the law in Nigeria, and that is the ruling that came. Remember when Muhammadu Buhari and the late Dr. Shuba Okadibo, who ran as a running mate way back then on the platform of maybe ANPP or whatever, that was the judgment that was handed down by the Nigerian judicial system. Now, today in Port Harcourt, initially it looked like there would be no protest, but that protest had a different tinge from what was witnessed in Lagos, where also initially protesters were dispersed. But later towards evening, they gathered and then they marched and said they would not be stopped. So everywhere in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt, what the protesters mainly wanted was a situation in which the siege, the military siege, otherwise known as state of emergency, unlawfully foisted on that state by the Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, based on wrong and false intelligence supplied to him by somebody that is now outed and identified as the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Yesin Wike. They want all that to be stopped, and they want the sole administrator who has been appropriating funds in an unlawful way, funds that will not be released to elected representatives of the people. They want all that to be stopped, and the sole administrator should pack his bag and baggages and leave their state. However, in Abuja, where our good friend Omoyele Showore led several protesters alongside lawyer Dejade Yonju, they defied whatever the police had wanted. And they said they would go all the way to the National Assembly complex, although the police said they were using Eagle Square for the commemorative event concerning the anniversary of the founding of the Nigerian police. So everywhere, Nigerians seem to have latched on to the fact that they have to march in order to have a freedom of expression, in order to be able to associate, and in order to make sure that democracy really works for Nigerians. And they are even demanding better treatment for the police itself. You know, in some places up north, it's almost like the protest was aborted because they know. I do not want to speak for the Nigerian authorities, but one thing that they know is that the thing may get out of hand up north. So they gave a close marking and made sure that effectively the protest was shut down up north. But another key point being emphasized by the protesters is that Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, may be surrendering the country's sovereignty to foreign interests the way he easily gets out and not giving the actual reasons. He would say he's on retreat in France. He's been there more than 2 times since he came into office as president. So they want him to stay in Nigeria and really take charge as president. And as a president that could attend to the myriads of problems bedeviling, assaulting the country at the moment. So these are the issues that are involved in today's protest.
Wow. Yeah. The medical, I have a question. The medical trip that these people keep taking, I think
Buhari. No, you can't give him what he has done.
They called it vacation, working vacation.
Yes. Yeah. And he's had several of those. Remember, at the time he said he was paying, he was going to use a short or brief visit to the King of England, King Charles, to cover up for his medical visit to is it St. Mary's Hospital in London? So, and he was also exposed concerning that, and it led to a huge embarrassment to them. And from what we have even heard now, from a disclosure, because you see, our media partner at Sahara Reporters, Mr. Omoyele Showore, whatever he says, because he is a very hardworking journalist, I love to believe and investigate further. But I believe in that an agenda is being packaged, is being worked on by Tinubu to make sure that the constitution is tinkered with, and then instead of the presidential system that we are operating now in Nigeria, that will be replaced by a parliamentary system, and that could also give him another 6 years plus 4, which would give him a total of 10 years in power. So that has to be investigated, and that is a serious thing. Such a thing can. So we suspect that Tinubu's current trip to Paris, to wherever he is in London, wherever
in
he
Paris,
is in France, whether it's Paris or the suburb, wherever he is there, maybe a retreat to really work out the details of this expectation. And when Showore mentions something, honestly, you must attend to it as if it's
you have to take it seriously.
It's an holy writ. You have to take it seriously. It does not just open its mouth recklessly or frivolously, like some people who are around town in Nigeria, like they behave. And then more about the what's it called,
cybercrime. I was going to say yes.
Legislation. Remember, they are not really focusing on cybercrime itself. It's about whatever we do, like we are talking now. If they want to manipulate it, if they want to twist it around to say that, oh, we are committing a cybercrime, commenting on events in Nigeria, and what have you, that is the way to go. And no nation progresses that way. They are desperate to make sure that, Nigeria attracts foreign direct investment. Nigeria does this, Nigeria does that. But the optics they keep projecting to the world outside there is not in consonance, is not in agreement with their expressed intentions. It's not. The two do not agree. And this is where we almost begin to show concern. For example, if Natasha was not a strong woman, you saw the way they were going to start accusing her of going all over the world to embarrass Nigeria. Meanwhile, these same people who see themselves as original and true Democrats who campaign for the coming of democracy, they have forgotten their own antecedents, that they were overseas, they were abroad, conscientizing people, campaigning against the government of the day then in Nigeria, which we also, we supported such activities that the military wronged us in annulling June 12, 1993 election, and that they must go. But if people now see what this current administration is perpetuating against Nigerians, the things they are doing, the actions they have taken so far, and then they say, oh, this must stop, and they internationalize the campaign. Why must you hang it on their neck like an albatross that, oh, they are campaigning against Nigeria? Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is disgracing Nigeria and all that. So, fundamental personal disagreement is now seen, is being played up as a crime against the country. So, what we suspect is that they are repackaging Decree 4 under Buhari Idiagbon regime. They are repackaging Decree 2 under Babangida, Aihomu, and all these military people who led Nigeria in succession. They are repackaging all these things, and they are bringing it back as cybercrime thing. And you must know that that in itself is being copied expressly from the colonial legal heritage, the law of what was it called? Is it subversion or whatever they used to call it? Whatever, sedition, the law of sedition. This is what they are repackaging to intimidate present-day Nigerians and the people who are behind all this stuff that has to be shut down. People who would not want to guarantee real joy and happiness through constitutional governance for people of Nigeria, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. And if they are not even voted out, I think they ought to bite the humble pie and resign from office.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Let's see. Marriott, what's going on? All right. Thank you, everybody. Join the conversation. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. turn up your notifications so you're notified. We're like 20 minutes over today, but that's fine. I'm sure you guys didn't mind. It was a very engaging episode. This is our 60th episode, by the way. So do us a favor. Hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. I think we're at 300 plus subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000. So every time you share, you help us get a little closer. And we're trying to get to 1,000 followers on Facebook as well. So thank you. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. God bless. Cheers.